Hey everybody, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching the channel as always. We are in a series here. I'm trying to get everything done in one part. Sometimes I can't when the projects warrant more work. This is one of them. This is a John Deere LX279. It has a liquid-cooled 17 horsepower Kawasaki twin cylinder on it. And so far we found out that it's got quite a few issues with it. Nothing that's keeping it from running and driving, but it is keeping it from cutting. So we tried to troubleshoot a lot of that in part one. We didn't really get a lot, make a ton of headway on it. We did, however, find out that the PTO clutch was in fact bad. So that was a good discovery. And we haven't figured out if the PTO switch is bad or not, because I think the one that I ordered is not working properly. So we might improvise to get the PTO switch to work. We will see. I've got more money in this mower than I should have at this point. I think I've got like $400 in this thing, and I shouldn't have nearly that much. Good news is I got a PTO clutch with it. Few things we've got to do here. We've got to figure out how to put the fuel line, or put a radiator line back to the overflow tank, because that's missing. We also need to figure out how to get the PTO working. We've got to do a drive belt, we've got to do a primary deck belt, and we've got to do some wiring deal, because we've got some bare wire here, and I don't know exactly how to fix it completely, but in this video hopefully we will get it. I'm trying to fit this in amongst all the repairs that are sitting here waiting for parts. That way I can get another rider out in my garage a little bit cleaner, or if I get a trade, whatever. But thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions about the video, feel free to reach out to me, Ellis at ellismowers.com, or on Instagram and Facebook at ellismowers09. Let's go ahead and get started on this LX279. I'll give you a quick recap, and we'll go ahead and dive right in. So it has been a while since we worked on this thing. Since I have. You'll be seeing it hopefully back to back. But again, LX279, the hood's chilling back there in the back of the garage. I took it off because the hinges are broken. However, the rest of the hood is intact enough to where I didn't want to be taking it on and off to break it or mess it up. So here's what we got going on. I have put a deck belt on it, which I believe was given to me as a part of the deal. So I got a lot of parts on this, even though I paid probably too much for it. But I was coming off of a couple LX277s that I made some decent money on, and figured that if I can get this thing sorted out pretty cheap, that I can make it work. It is taking a little bit longer, a little bit more than I originally thought, but it's not going to be the end of the world. So what we've got going on is I learned that this radiator line to the overflow tank is brittle and broken, so I've got to find a hose to replace that with. I also need to figure out this, sort this out, these wires, put a new wire connector for the coil there, and also kind of see if both of the cylinders are firing. It kind of sounds like, just kind of sounds a little weird, so I want to figure that out as well. I don't even know what else, guys. I think the first thing I'm going to do is replace the drive belt on it. Drive belt still works. I got all the parts are just sitting right there. This is my garage. We'll get there. We'll get there one day. But my drive belt's sitting over there. We're going to replace that. It drives fine. You can just feel a little like bump, almost like it has flat spotted tires. I look down there and the drive belt's got a chunk missing out of it. So that's where the bump, when the bump goes around and hits the main pulley, that's when I'm feeling that. So we'll get that done. The deck is relatively easy to take off, especially since I don't even have a primary deck belt on there at this point. Yeah, because I don't even have a, I don't even have the PTO on there. Just got to take it off of this, and slide it out. So I'm going to do that. Jack this thing up. We'll look at the drive belt, get it changed out. Okay, guys. So we've got, looking down here, the belt. And I think, where's the chunk missing out of it? I think the chunk's missing out of it right here. I don't know if I can move it anymore. So we've got the park brake down, and what I've got to do is I've got to take this thing off. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. It looks like I need to push the spring back a little bit more and push the tensioner back, and then pull the belt off. So we've done that. I don't know if y'all saw that, but we got the belt off just by pulling that tensioner back. And then I think since these are plastic pulleys, we can work it around this pulley relatively easily. I probably need to go the other way. There we go. So here's where you're missing a little bit of a chunk of the belt, right there. I think it gets worse as we go back here. But what I'm also going to do is take it off of the front pulley. Hopefully y'all can see that. This really is not a hard job at all. And we are gonna have to take off the link there to get it around, but we're gonna work it off of this. Oh, spring came off too, so just gotta be careful. Just take it out of this. Working around that spring for the lower deck. There we go. Front pulley. We'll cross that bridge when we get there for the front pulley. And for the back pulley, we're just going to work it around the hydro fan. Should just be able to come right out around it. Make sure you're careful with the fins on the fan as we pull it out. And so now we're out, save for this right here. And we've got to take off this bar in order to get the belt out from in between the steering column here. So that looks like a 5/8 or a 9/16 on both sides. So let me grab the appropriate tools and we'll get that off to take the rest of this belt off, and then I'll just put it back on off camera. So I'll tell you what this is first real quick. We've got a lot of work to do, so I'm going to try my best to consolidate some stuff. Alright y'all, so the deal is work smarter, not harder. Y'all saw that tie rod link that I said y'all need to take off. Well, I'm going to take the other side of it off just because of access. I don't have a 19mm wrench, and this is also a lot easier to get this side off. And what we're going to do is we're just going to feed the belt through here so that we can get it off. It'll serve the same purpose. We just got to do it. Okay. Put that down. We'll get back under it. Do we have to necessarily get under? No. We've just got to get the belt on the other side of this tie rod, pull it over, and then what we can do now, let's see, there we go, pull it right out. Just like you saw, right there. So we just pulled it out. I'll show you where this belt was starting to separate. There's the big area right there that was starting to separate. Double check our belt that we got. Just with a quick foot test. And looks like we got a winner. So now, just do the opposite of what you just did. Feed it through around that tie rod so that you can get it around to the front pulley, and you're good to go. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll get the tie rod on, get this belt on. I'll show you the finished product and the finished routing, and we'll roll on with it from there. Alright guys, I've got a theory, and I'm sure some people are going to agree with me and some people are not going to agree with me on what I want to do here. But if you look under the mower, you see I got some wires here that are just chilling. One of them's a ground wire to the headlights, and one of them's a power wire to the headlights. Now, since I can't figure out what in the world is going on with that PTO switch, which I don't understand, because I've got a new, or the original one here that seems to be working okay. It just will not cross the bridge between the yellow wire, which is the power wire going to the switch, and the blue wire, that's the battery, that's the PTO. You can hear it. Obviously it's a blue flash because it pulls a bunch of amps, but then you have your headlight switch over here that's not serving any purpose really. And if you cross this terminal, which is the power wire coming from the control panel to the PTO, it works just fine as well. So I'm having a thought as to, I don't know if I want to mess with anything up here or not, but do I just want to take the wire that's a jump, I don't know, because I don't want to be messing with other sensors and stuff on this thing. I know it's a reverse switch and whatnot. The only thing is it'll hardwire it to where it'll run, but the seat safety will still work. So worst case, you set the park brake and the blades still run. Oh, decisions. Because I don't know, like, you know, the blue wire comes up here and then it connects via the switch between this and the yellow wire. And I've already done some testing here to see if things are open and closed, and I just cannot. I'll do some testing, but I think what I'm going to do is wire the headlight switch as the PTO switch. That seems to be the most obvious solution. And I think what I'm going to do is just take the splice the blue wire down there and splice the yellow wire into the blue wire under the mower to have a hardwire PTO switch, because it is coming, this all is coming off from all this panels and bezels and stuff like that. So I think I'd be alright with that. Man, I just I'm always on the fence about doing stuff like this because I've never done it before. Let me do that, troubleshoot a little bit more just to make sure this PTO switch is you know, still a thing, and we'll work from there, guys. All right, y'all. Sorry, I feel like I'm doing a bunch of deep breaths today. I had a busy day yesterday. A bunch of questionable wiring, but this is not the final. We'll clean this up where I've got the ends of the green, but I don't know if you can see in that right there. I've got that yellow wire connected to the green wire via that connector, and so in theory, the headlight switch should enact the PTO now whenever the ignition is turned on. So, headlight switch is off. We'll plug it back in. As long as we don't blow out the switch or anything like that, this should work in theory. So we'll turn it on, hit it, boom, locks in. That's perfect. Now, in terms of longevity and holding it up, maybe I'll just let it sit here and be on for a couple of minutes just to make sure the wires don't get hot or short out or anything like that. And if that's the case, then I still need the PTO switch, so I'll plug this in just for kicks and good measure. No, but seriously, we do need the PTO switch because the PTO switch does route a bunch of different things around in order for this to start. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in to its place. I know this sounds very like backwards, but the headlight switch works. It's not my ideal fix. I will be completely honest with y'all. But you gotta look at what I'm dealing with here. I've tried multiple PTO switches. I don't want to throw parts at it. I know as long as we don't have hot wires or anything, which we don't, because it is the same gauge wire going from the PTO switch as is the headlight switch. So we've got that going for us. Now what I would like to do, I put the tie rod and everything back on. I've also put the drive belt on. What I would like to do now is get this PTO switch on, which I have bought. So let me get the bolt and nut that I bought. Give me just a second. Alright guys, so I bought the bolt and the nut for this. Ooh. Oh, starting it out right by dropping it. Just in case you need the part numbers, there's the one for the nut, M131419, and M137832 is your part number for the bolt. I didn't splurge, but I did the right thing on this, and I got the OEM parts for the simple fact that this is like a crush washer almost, or like a, what is it, tapered, beveled, rounded, I'm not completely sure of the term. But you put this on, and what it does, it's like a lot like the Murray push mowers that I do. You tighten it up, and this right here will actually push in and lock in to the PTO clutch. That way it's not going to eventually work its way loose. And also, as you can see, we've got Loctite on the bolt here as well. So that's gonna, both of those things are gonna help. When it comes to the PTO switch, I'll get under here and I'll show you kind of what you have to do to line everything up, and just kind of show you what you got to do in order to get this thing on. These things are a bear to get on, to get lined up mostly. But once you get them lined up, just getting them in the keys and pushing them up and then putting the bolt in as well. So let me get under the mower again. I'll show you what I'm going to do. But that is definitely one of the biggest things that I'm excited about, that I've got that PTO switch working again. Even though it's not the way I wanted it, but I mean, oh well, I suppose. Yeah, let me jacket this thing up and we'll get under it, see if we can push this thing on. Alright, y'all, let's get under this thing. Get my light turned back on for us so that we can see what's going on here. Oh, let me just set you down. Show you what I'm gonna do. Like I said, this is not easy to do, but the goal is I've got to just get it on here. The first thing is I've actually got to line up, so I've got to line up this, the PTO clutch, and the key for the crankshaft. So I've got to get all three of those things in order. And once I get it up there, I've got to get this bolt on. I need two hands, and I'm going to be in y'all's way. So again, like I said, I just got to get this on, and I will let y'all know the results once I get it on there for you. But I'll show you how you have to line everything up. That's how you have to do it, but I'm going to do my best to show it to you after I get it back on the mower. Alright guys, she's on. So, what I did was this pin right here I lined up with the keyway on the crankshaft, which then I lined the keyway on the PTO with its little inlet or outlet, whatever you want to call it, right there. When I did that, I was able to get it on a lot easier, and once I shifted it up and just kind of shimmied it up there, it fell right into place. I put the bolt in, it crushed in like it's supposed to on the PTO, and we should be in business now. It's always a little nerve-wracking, but here, so let me turn the switch on, enact the PTO clutch, and she is locked into the engine, so that's great. Now what I've got left is to tie these wires off, because the last thing I want to do is have a brand new PTO clutch have wires get screwed up by a drive belt. So I'm going to tie them off down here, and then just kind of make everything look a little more pretty, so to speak, and go from there. I think we are. I think we're in business now, guys. I think this looks a lot better. I will say that much. So I just got to tie this wire down so that it doesn't do anything crazy with the drive belt and whatnot, and then I think my work under the mower is done. We'll put the deck back on, and we'll see if I can get this thing to run, the deck to engage and all that good stuff. And then seriously, all that's left to do after that is some of this wiring right here that we've got to work on a little bit. Like, I want to get rid of some of this exposed wire. Maybe put a couple of different, put a little bit of new wire and some connectors on here, just so that that is good to go. Also test for spark on both sides. I want to make sure that it's sparking on both sides. It still seems like it's running a little weird. And I just got to be, I checked the plugs I think already, and it does need an oil change. We'll give it an oil change as well. Put a tube on between the radiator and the overflow reservoir, because that's missing. So could we get it done today? It'd be awesome if we could. Alright guys, so we've got a all the spindles greased. I did turn it. There's a little noise coming from this pulley, but the rest of them are quiet. There is one that I am kind of concerned about. It's this pulley that's tied to the tensioner. You can see where it had worn a little bit of a hole in the deck from where it was rubbing at one point. But remember, these John Deere sometimes are weird as to how their pulleys are set up. So I don't know if this is necessarily where like a bushing is wearing out, or if it's actually supposed to have a tilt like that to it. It seems like the tension is good, because you can see I can move them around just fine. This is a new belt on here, so we'll see if it jumps off or anything like that. It doesn't look like it. I mean, everything looks like it was going to be all right here, I think. If anything, this one right here is almost, well, it's kind of on the bottom, but the other belt wasn't like ripping to shreds or anything. It just aged out. So, and also sharpen the blades. I don't know if I can pick this up with one hand. Oh, I had a set from the LX277 that I had, because these looked a little bit worse. They look like they've been wore back some, so I might keep them just in case I have a really, really crappy one of these come. But I'm going to go ahead and put this back on, and I'm going to put the deck belt on. I'm going to place y'all on the charger because I've filmed a lot today. And while I do all that, I might see if I can find a tube that I can get for the reservoir, and I might see if I can get that wire fixed on the coil there. And also a couple of bare wires that are exposed right here as well, that look like they already have had a couple of repairs anyways, but we'll take care of that, because that's a ground wire to the solenoid, and that is a positive wire to the terminal for the ignition switch, or for the starter solenoid. So alright guys, I got the deck back on. Caught a little bit of a break in the rain as well. Still got a little bit of wiring to do. Still got to do this tube for the reservoir. But I'm going to take it out. I've done my final checks. Make sure the PTO is not rubbing on it, or the wires aren't going to rub on anything. I've put the primary belt on, secondary belts on, and switch is hooked up. So hey, let's see what happens. You don't know till you try sometimes, right? Let me crank it up. We'll just get it out here on the pad and flip that switch and see what happens. Here we go. just too much load on the engine for it to crank it over. So I've got to, I think it's, you know, when things haven't been running months, they try and do stuff like this. So I'm wondering if all I got to do is just eventually get it to where everything's nice and loose and free and just run the mess a while. That's what I think I'm going to have to do. Nothing wrong with the switch or the belt, because there's no reason why it shouldn't work, you know. So I might try it a couple more times here on camera, but then after that I'm just going to take it off and see if I can get it to fire. Once I get it to fire, I think I'll be okay. Like I said, when you haven't moved in a while, it's going to take a lot of load to get going. So now I'm going to have to do a little bit of investigating here. It's pulling too much load, and it might be only running on one cylinder too, so that might be a thing also. I'll be back, see what we can find out. All right, y'all, I gave it a little choke and it caught, so here we go. Go for a ride. This is one of the most cold-blooded engines I have ever had. I did a carb clean on it. It's still doing the same thing. So I don't know if it's like a little bit of a clogged fuel filter. We might try the fuel filter or something else, but it runs great once it warms up. And then we hit the PTO. Getting better and better. Drive belt works great too. Dive in here and see if we can cut a little bit of pine straw. Oh yeah. That's good. Not bad. Excellent. Whoops. See if it'll engage one more time for us. Man. Alright guys, I'm going to clean up the garage a little bit. I think I might hear a little thunder too, so I might clean up the garage just a little bit while I've got no rain, and take care of those little small wiring issues. Make sure that I've got spark on both cylinders, which I think I do because it runs really good. Ooh. Puff of smoke from somewhere. See if that happens again here. Oh yeah, it's just some unburnt fuel or something. I think we got a little bit of an exhaust leak too, but hey, I did not expect to have a running and cutting mower by the end of the day today, so that's super. Still got a little bit of time left, and like I said, I want to take care of this wire, and this coil wire over here. Boom. Once I get that taken care of, we'll be good. This thing doesn't seem like it sucks up a lot of fuel either, so I don't know if I don't think I've got anything going on in the fuel line, because it kind of plowed through that pine straw just fine. And tell you what, that makes me happy. That really makes me happy. Let me find a tube, let me get these wires straightened out, and then we will hopefully test it out tomorrow. I should have enough of an area to test out. Haven't really worked on the backyard yet. I want to test it out, and then if all tests out well, we'll go ahead and list it. $900,000, probably get $800 for it. Double my money at least, so that'll be good. Alright guys, I got the hood back on it. I just finished a test mow, and it did just fine. Originally, I was a little worried because I ran it for, what, 5 minutes at the most back here in the back, and it just died, like just completely died. No, I could not start it, and I was like, what in the world is this? And it ended up being that it ran out of gas, but then I could not get it back started for the life of me, and finally I hit it with starter fluid. It caught and kept running. So I am going to make sure that it's going to be okay before I list it. I do need to wash it, just give it a nice little clean off one more time before I list it. But did I show you all the wiring? I don't think I showed you the wiring. It's a little bit of a pain to get the hood off, but if you look up in there, you can kind of see where I spliced the wires just to get some of that bare wire out of the way. And I also did it with the same thing with the coil over here. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but I got spark on both cylinders. It runs good. It's nice and quiet. Now that I found out that I had a loose spark plug on one side, I've tightened that down. A lot of little things with this mower. It has been one of the quirkiest mowers that I have had. I think I do need to level the deck on it. I'll check that also before I sell it. And but yeah, I think we're okay. So let me see if I can get this thing started for y'all. Let's see if it'll start back up for us. And I did show y'all the headlight switch for the PTO. That's going to be this mower's crowning achievement, I suppose. But she's definitely a little choky on the start. But it's been sitting here about 30 minutes, so. And I had about a quarter of a tank. I know it's pretty decent on gas too. Runs super well though. Like I'm really happy with how it ran. I'll tell you what, I'll give y'all one last ride and then we'll wrap this video up here. And also I think the loose spark plug was causing the deck not to work right. So let's see if it'll turn on here without choking it. I've already cut everything, so there's nothing really to do but give y'all a little ride. But she's running great. Not wearing the belts weird or anything like that, so I'll take it. And the hood's in decent shape, it just the hinges don't really work very well, so pull that little piece of plastic or put it right there. It is splitting in a couple of areas. I think it is a replacement hood too, so you can kind of tell that whoever had this originally took decent care of it, and I think it's been just neglected just a little bit, but nothing crazy because the thing's 20 plus years old and it's still in this good a shape for what it is. I mean, I can't complain about it, you know. It's got cruise on it and all that good stuff. So, and Mowers and Blowers told me that the liquid cooled Kawasaki's are highly sought after too, which is cool because I've got my LX279 here and I've got my free LX188 back there too that we'll get around to, that y'all saw kind of a quick video on. We'll get around to those eventually. I've got a bunch of other projects here that I will be taking care of in the coming weeks that aren't mine, but they're going to make me some money, so I can't complain. Let me get my tripod, we'll wrap this up. Alright guys, so this has been one of those multi-month projects, so to speak. When did I get this mower? I got this mower in August of 2021. It's now March of 2022. So, a little bit of a process, but it's done. I just had to get my house finished first, but and kind of establish a game plan because we did have to put quite a few parts on this. Luckily, like I said, let's break it down. I bought this thing for $350. It came with a $200 and some change dollar new PTO clutch, which we found out the one on it was bad, so we did have to put a new clutch on it. We had to put a new PTO clutch on it. We had to put a new bolt and washer on the PTO clutch. What did I do? Put some better blades on it, although I had some used blades here. I had to wire the PTO clutch, clean the carburetor out, clean the fuel filter out, and all belts, like every single belt needed to be replaced. The drive belt and primary deck belt, which I had to buy. Secondary deck belt came with it. So I had a lot of parts, even though I had a little bit of money in it. So I think I've got about 400 bucks in it. Probably gonna list it for $1,000, take $8 for it. At least double my money. I think the mower's worth that, to be honest with you. I have a hard time selling these because people think that they should be priced the same as like a D110 or an L100 or something like that. I was like, no, these things are on a whole nother level to them L100s or whatever that you find at Lowe's or the era that these are made. So I'm going to monitor it, make sure that, like I said, it's a little bit cold-blooded, it seems. I'm going to give it a starting sequence over the weekend before I list it, just because I don't really like playing with fire whenever we're talking about money like this. So let me know what y'all think of the fixes on this thing, especially the routing the headlight switch for the PTO clutch. It's one of those things that I think I was just like, I'm going to give up on it. I'm going to go for the sure thing here. And we got something that seems like it works. I don't know what was going on with the PTO switch after all that testing. And then I spent $13 for a new one, and the new one wouldn't even crank the mower over. So I'm like, you know what? The headlight wiring is all screwed up anyways. Let's just repurpose it. Let me know what y'all think of that. The only thing that would allow it to do safety-wise is for the blades to run with the park brake on. That's the only difference. So the blades will turn off if you have the park brake off. There is a time delay module on this seat safety as well, so it does take a second or two. But I think we got some relatively new tires on it. I think it's a $1,000 mower. Easily an $800 mower, because I've sold the LX277s that were in worse shape last year for that in terms of cosmetics. Anyways, I'm done with this video. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this two-part series, getting this thing going. I know some of y'all are going to have a headache watching that wiring as I'm trying to sort it out, but that I try to show the struggles along with the successes. So I'll catch y'all in the next video. If you have any questions about this one, feel free to reach out to me, Ellis at ellismowers.com, or at ellismowers09 on Instagram and Facebook. Let me know if you'd have done anything differently with this thing. Time is money, and as long as I can get something that's going to work reliably, that's the route that I'm going to go, and that's what I decided to do with this. So thank you again. I'll see y'all on the next video repair as things get busy this spring. We're already rocking and rolling around here, and you'll see the videos to come. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.